Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan, and this channel is dedicated to skincare for skin of colour. As you know, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of colour. Now, today's video is a little bit different. I'm doing my updated makeup routine and how I apply my SPF 50 in the morning and then how I reapply it throughout the day on top of full makeup. So today is basically my TikTok day. So it's a Monday and I tend to film my TikToks every other Monday. That will basically last me for the next 2 weeks. So I tend to batch my work, and so I tend to get my hair done. So this is why I look like this. I can't actually do this myself. I do have a hairdresser who comes and does my hair for me. And I tend to do my makeup myself just because I really enjoy it. So let's dive right in. So what I've done so far this morning is cleanse my face with Micellar Gel Wash to remove any actives from the night before or any dirt from the night before. So you can see I have no makeup on, clear skin. Then I use my Ceramide Peptide Moisturiser that I make myself just for my own face. The reason I had to actually go and make my own Ceramide Peptide Moisturiser is because any moisturisers that I found that are nafe safe with ceramides and peptides in them tend to not be in airless pumps. You want to be in an airless pump in order to stabilise ceramides, because ceramides are actually quite unstable on their own. And there is no test to see how stable your ingredients are by the time you're putting them on your skin. So really, ideally, for your daily skincare, you do want to be using skincare that really are in airless pumps to make sure you're getting maximum efficacy. And I usually go down to my chest because this area, as we age, does tend to the skin gets thinner, and so does the skin and neck, especially if you've had children and your boobs have basically done this, which mine did. So yeah, so always go down to your chest, and then I apply my SPF 50. So here I've got my Inzincable. This is actually the factory sample. We haven't released this to the public yet. So this is mineral SPF 50 that's nafe safe, that contains niacinamide and MelaShield. MelaShield is actually a stem cell, which is actually a tyrosinase inhibitor as well. And so we actually did a clinical study on 61 candidates, and 70% of them saw a reduction in their pigmentation, their melasma, their PIH, just from switching from their sunscreen to Inzincable because of MelaShield. So that study was done only on skin of color. So this sunscreen was made specifically for skin of color. So what I tend to do is put about half a teaspoon, between a quarter and half a teaspoon of sunscreen onto the back of my hand. The mistake people tend to make is that they put it onto the front of their hands, they rub their hands together and they put it on their face, but you lost half of the sunscreen on your hands. I don't really mind you doing that on a moisturizer so much, but on a sunscreen, we do want the correct amount going onto the skin. So I put about a quarter of a teaspoon to half a teaspoon on my hands, and then I basically use my finger to dot it so that I make sure I'm going to get even application. The reason why this is important is because what we're trying to do is create a film across the face which is protecting the skin from UV. And always do the neck as well. For some reason, people forget the neck and around the eye area. So what I tend to do is I put it on my fingers. This actually spreads really nicely, really easily. And I did that on purpose because the eye area is the most delicate area. That's where wrinkles tend to happen first. So you'll feel with this, it's very smooth. I put in a lot of silicones into this to make sure that we're getting great spreadability. Inzincable has 17% zinc oxide, which normally comes out extremely white on the skin if you haven't formulated it correctly. And actually silicones really do help with the spreadability. Plus they are, because it's such a large molecule, it basically is non-comedogenic. It doesn't block pores. I think there's a lot of confusion with silicones and blocking pores. Silicones are actually great for acne prone skin because they lock in moisture without blocking the pores. It's really hard to do your makeup and talk at the same time. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my Inzincable on. And what I like to do is just leave it for about a minute to allow it to almost set and form that film, because that's really how sunscreen work is by forming that film. And then I go in with my concealer and my foundation. So it's been about 30 seconds. As you can see, should be no flashback, and today's a filming day for me, so it's really important that we don't have that flashback on the camera. And I don't have any white cast, and that's also really important for skin of color. So we tested this on Fitzpatrick 456 brown black skin to make sure that you don't get that ashy white cast which often happens with mineral sunscreens. So I'm now going to go in with my concealer. So the one I'm choosing right now is Maybelline Eraser. I believe this is honey color. The reason I'm not so bothered with foundation and concealer as I used to be is because now I'm wearing 2 layers of creams before I put on any concealer or foundation onto the skin. And so there's no direct contact between the foundation and my skin. And so actually, if there is denatured alcohol in a product that you're putting on, on the 3rd layer on the skin, it's not really going to be touching the skin. And so you shouldn't be getting the side effects that you would get if it was directly on the skin. And that's why I'm actually more relaxed with whichever foundations you're wearing and concealers that you're putting on. So I've just put on my concealer and I've just wet my sponge. I'm just dabbing it around the eye area. So I tend to do this first before I put on my foundation, but honestly, it doesn't matter, whichever way suits you. And I tend to basically focus on this area because I want to highlight this area. And so if I put my concealer almost like a triangle, it highlights the area which I want light to hit, which is this area, and then around the eye area. And I just gently blend it, and I just a stippling movement with the pointy edge of the sponge. Then I'm using my Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. I'm putting it onto my hand. And again, what I tend to do is exactly the same thing that I've done with my sunscreen, and that is dot it around the face. I get even coverage. I tend to find wherever you put a product first, it becomes heavier in that area. Whether you're talking about foundation or concealer or eyeshadow, eyeshadow is the worst because especially if you've got primer on, wherever you put the eyeshadow first is where it's going to be darkest, and then it becomes really difficult to blend later. So just bear that in mind. And I just stipple this everywhere basically. Then once I've basically put that across the face, I like to set my makeup. I'm loving this brush. Koshal gave me this brush from By Terry. It feels like such a luxurious brush. Like usually I think I just buy the cheap brushes on Amazon, but this By Terry is actually, it feels a lot more soothing on my skin. So if you do have sensitive skin, I would recommend that you do buy softer brushes that don't irritate your skin too much. And this one I would actually go and buy the whole set. It's probably the most amount of luxury I've put on my face in terms of brushes. Then I just contour my face, and this is the NYX Professional Makeup Highlighter Contour Palette. And the difference is that these are all basically matte. So I tend to have 2 different brushes, one that I would use to highlight with a matte lighter color on my jaw, and one that I would use for under my cheeks, because no matter how much you clean brushes, the pigment really doesn't always leave. So I basically have a brush for different things that I do regularly to my face. I tend to do this really gently because it really does come up a lot, and then I just use the back of my hand to blend it because I feel like I just have better control with my fingers, because I don't want too much, and it really does give you cheekbones really fast. And then I go in with this, and I tend to use the lighter color just for the jawline, just to basically accentuate the jaw. Then I do my eyebrows. I really feel like your face, even if you put nothing on your face and just moisturizer and your Inzincable, you need to just do your eyebrows too, just so that it completes your face. You don't even need to put on any other makeup, but I feel like eyebrows really do help frame your face when you have nothing else on it. So I like this one actually from Benefit. This is called Goof Poof Brow Pencil, and it's basically double-ended. I tend to just brush my brows quite quickly just to get them all in line. And then I use the thicker end to basically line the top, then I line the bottom, and then I go down the side. And then I would just do small little strokes on the inside so that they look like the fine hairs. This bit is the bit that can look really obvious. So what I do is tend to use the thinner edge, and I just do a few dots going upwards because that's how the hairs tend to sit. And anything that comes out of the line, I would literally just use my finger to make sure that we're not coming out of the line, but do it quickly before it sets basically. And then the same on the other side, the top, the bottom, And then around the corner. Not loads because it becomes really obvious really quickly. But that's basically it. Your eyebrows just become darker quickly. And then because obviously I have Punjabi hair, we have long hair. And so I tend to just, it's called 24-hour brow setter. And it's just a clear gel that I put directly onto the eyebrows to make sure all of the hair sits and doesn't move, because I tend to use my eyebrows a lot when I talk. So I am wearing lilac today, and I'm loving this lilac palette from Huda. It is just perfect on my skin. And so what I do is I use the lighter color on my finger. I remember when I said whatever you put it on first is what it's going to look darkest on. So I start with the inner corner. And for me, I'm always trying to highlight my inner corners because I really love when eyes look like they're more far apart and mine are quite close together. This is a lovely lilac light colour that I like to use as a base. Some people do use primers. I've already used concealer on my eyelid, so I don't feel like I need anything else, but a lot of people use primers. And if it's a big night, then I will use primer to make sure it stays on while I'm sweating and dancing. But hopefully not too much sweating today. So that's what that colour looks like. Such a beautiful colour. Then I go in with my transition colour. Often people do the transition colour first, which is perfectly fine to do. So I'm using the middle colour to do that. So it's more of a light brown colour. And I shouldn't blow it. Every time I blow, it's such a mistake. Okay, so we go into the corner. I then just go up a little bit because I've got a really big, wide brow bone. You know when you have something and you basically assess everyone else's face and you realise you're the only one with a really big brow bone? That's me. I just need to if I darken it a little bit, it basically gives the illusion that it's receding. And that's really what all makeup is just light and dark. What are you trying to highlight? What are we trying to distract from? Just use colours to do that. This is why I think it's so fun. I find makeup so therapeutic. It is like my meditation that I get to do before I do filming, and that's why I don't tend to outsource this. This is something I love to do on my own. Okay, then, so I use more of a fluffy brush to do the transition colour. And then for the corners, as you all know, we like to go a little bit darker because then it gives more of a cat eye. And so I tend to mix the two darker colours, but I use a smaller, fluffier brush. So it's a little bit more, more concentrated in the area that I want. So I tend to just literally go outwards and then just blend in a little bit into the corner. And I literally just do that action. Same on the other side. So once my eyeshadow is done, I go in my eyeliner. So I do love Schwing. I do feel like it gives me quite a sharp cut, and it's a lovely black, which I love as well. I'm going to do this into the mirror, so I'm going to try and come as close as I can. So this is the eyeshadow so far. And my little trick is I basically place a dot with where I'm trying to go to with my wing. And that is not always even, but it does help when you literally place the dot. So I do this, and I do the same on this side. And then now I've got two dots in similar areas that I just need to basically connect up. So I go across and then I tend to go up. Then I do the second line coming from here. And so now it's just colour it in almost. And now I'm doing the same thing on the other side. So I've literally just did the dot. I went along, up, and I'm going to colour it in. I'm so far away from the mirror right now. I think you guys are closer to my eye than the mirror is. Okay, so that's about as even as I'm going to get it. And then I'm going to go with my Huda mascara. So I tend to do curl and length first, then volume. And then I'm going to put on my eyelashes, which I'm using Eyelure Dramatic at the moment, which I absolutely love, love, love. So this is what curl and length looks like. So it's the edge that's basically got less brushes on it. And I always do the top first, and then I go in from underneath. And the same on the other side. Do you ever pull these like ridiculous faces when you're doing your eyes? And then I film it and I let everyone see my ridiculous faces. Okay, so here's the volume and these are the thicker brushes. Honestly, this is such a great mascara that even if you don't put eyelashes on, this is all you really need. It's just that for the camera, when I'm trying to convey my emotion, my eyes convey half my emotion. And so I feel like I need to exaggerate the thing that is helping me communicate how I'm feeling. And that's why I tend to wear lashes. But yes, if you don't, like, I do think these eyelashes are, you know, excellent. It's good enough for a night out. Okay, so if you have eczema on the eyelid, then I would avoid all of this. All this eyeshadow that I'm putting on, just avoid it. In fact, what I would only do is wear tinted SPF50 around the eye area, preferably mineral because it's anti-inflammatory. So that's what I would do. I'm just about to do my eyelashes.
What are you doing?
Hello, Sienna. This was bound to happen at some point. I'm getting ready for our shoot on Kit Scar Cream. Excited.
I wanted to do it called Sienna Scar Cream though.
So Sienna's now dressed as my formulator. This is mini me. We're doing our Kit Scar Cream video today, and we formulated it together. So she was part of everything from packaging to ingredients to testing. Everything was tested on her first. And then she wanted it to be called Sienna Scar Cream, and I said, Sienna, nobody knows who you are, so.
I know who I am. Hi.
Right, so now that's palaver's over, I'm just going to show you how I do my eyelashes. I basically, when you've put the glue on, I tend to wiggle just to keep it in the same location. You can use tweezers, or I just use my fingers to pop it on as accurately as possible. And it really does help once you've got the eyeliner on. And the first time you do this, it's going to be a disaster. And then you start to get used to the feel of that cold glue hitting the skin at the right place, and it just becomes so much easier. So I've done this on this one too. So these are the dramatic lashes, as you can see, like pow. And again, wiggle. I've already put my glue on. I leave it on for about a minute. And I do this, and again, I'm aiming for my eyeliner, just like a target, and I can feel the cool glue hitting the skin exactly where I want it. And that's basically it. Like, really easy. Now for my lips, I'm going to go in with MAC Bespoke. And I tend to basically, because I want, for me, if you look at my lips, the top lip is smaller than the bottom lip. I have done filler in the top lip to help balance it out. But just to, you know, balance it out even more, I tend to make sure that the liner is right on the edge of the lip. And it might feel like it's too much over the lip and you feel like you're overlining it, but actually it looks good. So, I think it looks good. You might think, no, Victor, you look terrible. Just go on top of the line. And when you do that, it does feel like you're going outside of the lip line, and then same on the bottom. I've got lip Vaseline on as well. I always put Vaseline on before I put anything onto the skin. So this is the trick. Basically, the majority of foundations, eyeshadows, lipsticks have denatured alcohol, have fragrance in them. The only thing we can do to protect ourselves is to basically make sure you've got a layer of something else on the skin before you put on a product that's going to dry the skin if it went on directly. And that's the only way, really, otherwise you can't use, basically virtually all cosmetics have it, because the way denatured alcohol works is that it dries a product out quite quickly on the skin, which is important to prevent transfer of color. So this is Posy K from Kylie. And I basically do that first, and then I do this to matte it out. Like, that's what my finger looks like. Then to give the illusion that your lips are a little bit bigger, I basically go in with a lighter color on the inside. And then I tend to go in one more time with a liner on the outside. Right, next. Just gonna highlight my face. I love Ofra, and look, literally it's gone. One of my best friends bought me this. This is just my favorite one. I've got a few other ones, but Ofra, they just do the best highlighters. I'm just going to clean up my brows. So what I tend to do is just use a lighter color on the inside. So this one is also from Benefit, called Highbrow. This is just for under my brow to make sure it looks neat. I'm just going to go in with Sheer Fluid, the Giorgio Armani, just for a little bit on my cheeks. I don't really need it, but I do feel like I'm looking a little bit washed out at the moment. Just a little bit lighter. And then, so that's a blusher. And then I'm just going to pop my pearls in, because I definitely can't film without pearls. And then I'm going to take my hair out, and we better get cracking. Today I've got to film 14 TikToks. I've got to film the video with Sienna for the Scar Cream. And ideally, I need to try and film 2 or 3 more YouTube videos today if I can, and if I've got the energy. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Oh yeah, I better take my hair rollers out. Totally forgot about that bit. So that's what it looks like. So it's quite bouncy. And then I just literally click the next one. When I take a roller out, I do it in a circle to try and keep it as curly as possible. And then basically just let it go. I'm just going to style it in one way and hopefully it will stay. Good. All right, so I'm just going to get some hairspray. Try and keep it in position. A long day today of filming. Okay, so this one is Sunscreen Classic, number 5. I always go for maximum strength, but you can't breathe, I'm going to be honest. Right, so what I'm going to do today is throughout the day, I'm going to show you how I'm reapplying my SPF50 on top of full makeup. So you can see I'm wearing literally everything I own on my face. So you can see how it sits throughout the day. If that sounds good to you, give me a thumbs up and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so we are halfway through the day and I always have a nap in the middle of the day because I'm so exhausted, and there's something called a postprandial dip. So as soon as you've eaten, all your food goes to your gut and you literally have to have a little nap. So that's what I'm doing right now before I get back to TikTok, and I need to reapply my sunscreen. Video is for you, women. You can keep scrolling. There's no information here for you. Women, I can still see you. Keep scrolling. I promise there's nothing here for you. So I have been filming TikToks all day. We have done 18 TikToks. I'm so excited. I've even managed to get one with my daughter. So she is very happy. I am now going to go upstairs and do some filming on YouTube. But before I do that, I'm going to reapply my Inzincable. And as you can see, I've still got my full makeup on. So I'm just going to put that on now for you too. Just so you can see, guys, this is my studio lighting and it's actually really sunny outside too. So my makeup has lasted and the Inzincable has lasted. So I'm very happy. Right, let's pop some more on. You can see I'm just putting on my factory sample of Inzincable. You always have to shake it. It's really important to do that before you apply it every time. Again, we're applying about 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon. And again, we are dotting it across the face. And I'm doing this actually on top of my highlighter, my powder, and around my eye area because I absolutely do not want to get wrinkles. Okay, so as you can see, I have rubbed it in. There should be no white cast. And I feel like I am ready to go and do some more filming. So this is the second application and I will do my third application in a couple more hours. Hi, okay, so I have just finished doing all of my YouTube videos and I'm just applying my sunscreen again. I think I need a bit more than that. I apply my sunscreen again for the third time because it is still sunny outside and I want to go for a walk and I am tired. I've done no exercise today. This is what happens to me on YouTube and TikTok days. I literally just don't leave the house and then my steps don't go up and then I feel very guilty. So what I do is at the end of the day, I will go for a long walk and listen to my audiobook. As you know, I try to get through at least one book a week. And at the moment I'm reading Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, which I am absolutely loving. I've been on his courses. I love his teaching. It always gets me in a great frame of mind when you're really tired and you've got lots on your plate. That's exactly what you need. So I'm just going to leave it a minute and then I'm just going to show you what it looks like. You always need to leave it a minute because what's basically happening now is a film is forming. It's only once a film is formed that you can see the color of it. Okay, so I'm just bringing it a little bit closer so you can see. This is what my skin looks like. This is after a third application. Still got my makeup on. I don't tend to do it on my eyeshadow or eyeliner, of course, because that will smudge. But I will apply it everywhere else. And I apply it up to here because this is where crow's feet happen and nobody needs that. And I put it in here as well. That's a really important crease for me. But also anywhere you get fine lines, you need to focus on, but obviously everywhere else as well. And please do the dot technique. So make sure you put your 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon on the back of your hand and then dot it around the face so you get even application. And I feel happy to go out if this was a pool party, or if it was a dinner party, or if lunchtime garden party, or I'm in the car, I'm happy to show my face after 3 applications of sunscreen on top of my makeup. And I'm going to continue to do this all summer for you in different videos on different days out, just so you can see how I do it, and hopefully it just makes it easier for you. Just for your own knowledge in terms of mineral versus chemical sunscreen, look, bottom line is whatever you're going to wear is the best one for you, because there's no point buying something and you're not going to wear it. So for me, the reason I prefer mineral sunscreen is because it's anti-inflammatory with zinc oxide 17%. Inzincable is also got Melashield in it, which is for pigmentation to use during the day, and I get melasma. In addition, it doesn't penetrate into the bloodstream, which is also important for me. So these are the reasons that I tend to prefer mineral sunscreen over chemical sunscreen. But honestly, just whichever sunscreen you like, that's the one I want you to wear. SPF 50 is essential, especially if you have pigmentation, and you have skin of color. Don't forget, I'm in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video. Please do write your comments down below. Don't forget to download your free guide for skincare for skin of color down below too. And please do follow me on Instagram at the Hyperpigmentation Clinic and Skincare by Dr. V, and also on TikTok, which is Dr. Vanita Rattan. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.